Elissa, thanks very much for being with me this week. I have to tell you that your good friend and mine, Chuck Muth, with whom I don't agree at all on any political issue, have talked about homeschooling, and I really don't know much about it, and I think the public doesn't know much about it. So tell us how it came about, how you're personally involved, and anything else you want to talk about.
Okay. Well, I'm the product of two public school parents, and my growing up life, everything was about education. We got to play outside, and all of our toys were manipulatives, and we just loved learning. And I had my first son, and I loved watching him learn. It just was exciting for me. So for me, the choice to homeschool wasn't about anti-public school, it was about pro my child. So he would have gone to the same local little public school that I went to. But I just enjoyed being with him, so I decided I would do this. The homeschooling doesn't take, you don't need to have a high school diploma, you don't have to have a college degree, you have to have a willing heart. There's a lot of support available for parents that want to homeschool, so it's not something you have to do on your own. I know a lot of parents say, well, I can't teach math, or I don't know what to do, I hate science, you know. There are so many support groups, there are so many catalogs and wonderful things available for parents that they don't really need to be on their own in this adventure.
Okay, so give me an example. Take your own child and tell me what that child did at home, what the child does at school, the homeschooling, and how that works.
Okay, so we'll go with my oldest. He's 19 now. So all of my children, we've always done co-ops. So co-ops are a group of 2 or more parents getting together. So it may not be as much fun. I may not be, as a parent, as inclined to blow up a volcano with just 1 or 2 kids. But if you give me 15 of them, it makes it a lot more fun. So we get together with other parents and we do different co-ops. In my life, I've been involved in a volunteer co-op, a baking co-op, a science co-op, a history co-op. Right now, we're doing a preschool co-op, a states co-op, where we learn about the state geography. And then within the community, he'll take different classes. So one of the rec centers offered a science class weekly, so he would go and take that. One of our homeschool groups offered a photography class. They actually took real film photography and learned how to develop it and do different artsy-fartsy things with it. So we don't just encourage parents to sit at home and try to figure it all out themselves. Get out and about in the community. My son was also into glass blowing. So we went downtown Las Vegas and found a glass blower, and we would sit in on some of his classes and things. So we've got a vibrant community here. Anything you want to find. We found a Japanese tutor.
Okay, so how does my child learn algebra?
Well, if you happen to be smart in algebra, you can teach them. But most parents are not that adept. You know, college and high school have been so long ago. We would find a textbook. There are some textbooks, like teaching textbooks, has a CD that you put in, and it goes through all the lessons for the children on the computer. Or Matthew C. has a DVD that you put in, and the teacher gives a little 5-minute lesson, and the kids follow along in the textbook. Or you find a tutor, or you go to Khan Academy. Khan Academy is a free online website that has all sorts of different lessons that are free, and that the children can go along and move at their own rate.
So if one of the parents is an expert in geology, you would use that parent to teach? If you didn't have any parent that could do that, you'd go outside and you wouldn't have any problem of finding someone to do that.
No. I mean, we live in this wonderful city. You know, people always slam Sin City, but I look at the city as having so many resources. We found a bee guy, a guy that goes out and kills bees. And he came in and he did a wonderful talk for our children on the anatomy of bees and their social lives, and he showed them how to suit up, and it was just, this community is fabulous.
Do the parents attend the classes, or do you deliver the child and that's it?
That totally is up to the parent. If you've got a lot of little kids, sometimes you may want to drop off, or we've got such a great community. One mom may watch all the littles. For example, when we come here and tour your news station, you don't want all the little children in here. So we tend to keep them at home with one of the moms.
Appreciate it. Tomorrow, charter schools.
Charter schools.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Now, yesterday we talked about homeschooling in general. Today, let's talk about charter schools, because I've been involved in education for a long time, and I have to tell you, I don't know how they work. So tell me how they work.
So charter schools is a newish kind of issue for me. I've always been a homeschool advocate, and as I've gone on with educating parents about homeschooling, I've really learned that homeschooling is not for every parent. And so I've had to start delving into what other options are there. So now, more than being just a homeschool advocate, I'm an educational choice advocate. So charter schools are public schools. They're publicly funded, but they have a little more autonomy in how they're run. They're really more of a local control. Their board is really what's the driving force behind their school. So in Nevada, we had a moratorium on charter school growth. We really don't have that many. But in the last legislative session, I don't know who sponsored the bill, but we got a bill that was written and a law that was passed that created the State Public Charter School Authority and its board. And that really has opened up an avenue for more sponsorship of high quality charter schools.
What are its strengths?
The charter school strengths. Yeah. When you have more local control, the money goes right to that school, and the power is right there in that school. So as a parent, if you want to be really involved, you have that total choice. As a teacher, you can make a total difference. As a community member, you can become a board member and really make that school what you want it to be. So we have some charter schools that have some different strengths. We have some distance ed charter schools where the children learn from the home environment via a computer. So they're out of the public school setting and they can do their schoolwork home, online. So if they're an athlete or an actor or things like that, they can still do their schoolwork. Their parents don't have to worry about delivering the education. It comes to them via the computer.
So let me get into the structure more. Who do the teachers report to? I mean, it's not the Clark County School District, it is...
Well, there are different sponsors. So Washoe County sponsors charter schools, Clark County School District sponsors schools, and then there's the newest state-sponsored schools under the state authority. So the State Public Charter School Authority is actually, it's the top line of defense, if you will. But we really, and I say we because I'm one of the governor's 2 appointees to the new State Public Charter School Authority Board, we are really trying to foster a different atmosphere here in Nevada for charter schools. We want high quality charter schools here in Nevada, and we want Nevada to be seen as a friendly state for charter schools to come into. So we are the most control is from the board. The board is what should be running the school. If the board has problems, needs assistance, the state Public Charter School Authority is there to render assistance and to teach them and to guide them. And then ultimately we would back off and give them more autonomy.
So do you all decide what the curriculum is going to be? As opposed to what the Clark County School District does?
No, there are state standards for all of that. So anybody can start a charter school, and that's a really great point for the community to know and educators to know. If you really have a love and you want to change the community, go out and make a committee to form a charter school. In that application, the application is very clear about what you need to provide, and there would be a list of curriculum and goals and things that would meet state standards and Common Core standards. And then you would find different ways to implement that learning.
Do you recruit students?
Each charter school will recruit their own students. So they'll go to different fairs. A nonprofit I run, Rise Education Resource Center, just had a charter school fair where we had 13 different charter schools on site, and we opened it up to the community to come in and talk to all of them and see, are you a brick and mortar school? Are you K through 8? Are you 9 through 12? What are the different options?
Do you screen the students? In other words,
No.
do you say you can't come because you didn't do well enough in the 3rd grade or the 5th grade?
No, there's no application process for a charter school. If they fill up enrollment, then they'll go to a lottery system, but it's not a magnet school where there's an application.
Okay, well, I've learned a lot, but I need to learn more, so we'll have you back at a later time and
Thank
we'll
you
go
so
further.
much.
Thanks for being here. Why is homeschooling so important? Why should you have a choice as to whether you go to the public school or homeschooling or charter schools?
That's a great question. What we've found, and what everybody should know by now, is that not every school fits every child's needs. So if your child is not doing well at the local public school, you may not know that you have other choices, but you truly do. And they extend beyond even private schools. Most parents know, there's the local brick and mortar public school and then there's a private school. But there are other options. There are charter schools that are done from the home, and there are charter schools that actually have buildings. There are homeschooling. There's so many different options that you can find to tailor to your child's needs and even your family's needs.
So how do you know what the problems are with your children?
If you've got a child, it really depends on the situation. So let's say you have a child that's being bullied at school and they're depressed and they're just not wanting to go, but mom and dad work. So you may be looking at removing them from that particular situation and either bringing them home to learn via distance ed on the computer, or you may look at a different physical setting to remove them from those people. Or let's say you've got a student who's a supreme athlete and they need more of a flexible schedule. So maybe they would do a homeschooling situation or a charter school on the computer where they could be doing their schoolwork at night instead of during the day. So it really depends on each family's different situation.
We have 300,000 students in K through 12 here. How many are involved in other education systems?
Oh my goodness. Homeschooling, it's a very hard number to put your finger on. We're in a very transient city here. There are probably about 6,000 homeschoolers throughout the state. Charter schooling is different. We've got about 14,000 charter school students in the state, and that includes distance ed and brick and mortar.
Why have charter schools grown?
Well, the moratorium has lifted as far as state-sponsored charter schools, and so we are actively looking for more charter schools to come into the state, not just more charter schools, but high-quality charter schools.
Why are they better?
They have more autonomy, and that's not to say that the local public school is worse. It's just different for different people and their different needs. So a charter school has more autonomy. So if they want to have a certain thrust, let's say English as a second language, they can do that and focus on that. They can place themselves geographically where that need is needed, and they can tap into that market and help those specific kids. So it's just a different dynamic.
Well, The graduation rate from high school in Las Vegas is about 50%. That's awful. When I was a kid here 60 years ago, I think we counted it up and it was 85 or 90. Has that problem created the demand for the charter schools and other related schools? Probably.
There's a lot of different things that are going to go into the need for different choices and different options for parents. Obviously, the dropout rate, the not being able to pass proficiency exams, things like that. But you've also got parents that want different options due to either religious reasons or because the schools are failing. Students First, which is a nationwide organization, just released report cards on each state. Nevada had a very dismal ranking, and one of their worst rankings was with parent empowerment. Parents just don't seem to know the options that are out there.
What are we going to do about that?
Well, I am one of the founders of a great nonprofit called Rise Education Resource Center. We really want to grow larger. We want parents to know that there are options. That is our core mission, to provide a facility and resources to support educational choice.
Let's talk about that tomorrow, but let me get back to this basic issue. The kids all have to take an exam somewhere along to get out of high school. What's the passing rate or the success rate of the homeschooling students as opposed to the general population?
Well, homeschooling students actually don't have to take the proficiency exams in order to graduate because we're a parent-directed education. So I will have different standards for my child than what the state might have for a public school child. So I can't talk to specifically our graduation rates, but in Nevada, nationwide, we're seeing much better standard achievement test from homeschooled students than from public school students.
Okay, so if I run a university and I get an application from one of your children, how am I going to know whether the child is competent to do college work?
From their ACT, SAT scores, from their essays, from their portfolio. We encourage parents to keep really good portfolios of what the children's work are. And we want to show the colleges that our students are really well-rounded and they're not just what everybody else is out of the regular public school system.
Okay, appreciate you being here. Tomorrow, another subject.
Thank you.
Thank you. Elissa, let's continue this discussion. You're a member of RISE, R-I-S-E. Tell us what it is, how it works, how successful it's been, and what its future is going to be.
Okay, so I am one of the founders of RISE Education Resource Center. I'm the president. RISE is an educational options facility. Part of our mission is to actually have a facility where parents can come and talk to us about what the options are for them and for their children. When they come in, we listen to their story. Every family has a unique story. What is yours? We may then end up guiding you towards a charter school, or we may end up helping support you in a homeschool journey. It totally depends on what each individual family needs.
So tell me, I come to see you, and what are my problems that you're going to see?
You might have a special needs child whose IEP is not being met, and the parent thinks they can do a better job at home. Or you might be a student who is just not doing well getting up in the morning and putting their hours in at school, but the parent knows the child loves learning, but the way it's being presented at school is not meeting the child's needs.
What about a difficult child?
Oh, there are difficult children too. So, difficult children, you really need to find out why they're being difficult. There are some kids that are just difficult because they're not getting the learning they need. They're not being valued. Maybe they have anxiety. Maybe they are depressed. I get parents come in whose kids have tried to commit suicide. those are the ones that always get me. If your child is that depressed, if your child is that uncomfortable at school, there are so many other options for them. Please save your child's life. Look into a different option.
Give me a scenario of one of the students, without name, of the problems the child had and what the solutions were that you suggested or that you carried out.
Okay, there are so many of them. I don't know how to settle on one. So I've got a friend whose children were in a local private school, and she's a great involved mom. The family is very nice. They love their children. She would take the children to school every day, drop the children off, do their homework with them. She realized that she didn't really know what they were doing in school. She'd given that power over to the school. And when she realized that, even though she's an involved mom, she loves her kids, she's helping with homework, she didn't understand the core of what they were doing, what they were presenting, what they were really learning. And she decided to take that power back on herself. And now she's a great homeschool advocate. Her kids are all being homeschooled, and her kids are thriving.
Do you find that to be really a common result of looking at this issue?
I do. We tell parents all the time, look, if you want to go down a homeschool route or a charter school from the home environment route, please don't lock yourself in the house. Please don't do that. We can't come and knock on your doors, but there's so much support out there for people. They can come to our resource center. They can have support with just gabbing with other moms, letting the kids play together. We offer different classes. We offer social classes, academic classes. We offer all sorts of field trips. So there's really no reason to stay in your home.
You know, with a 50% graduation rate, the 50% that quit, they didn't quit 2 weeks before the end of their senior year. They quit in the 5th grade or the 6th grade. How do you solve that problem?
You know, I think kids are not invested in their education. And for me, it's not even about the graduation rate, because for my kids, graduation is not the end-all and be-all. I want to create lifelong learners who love learning. That is my goal. I want to raise independent children who love learning. And I've succeeded in that, and my homeschool friends have succeeded in that, because we're instilling that value in them, and we're giving them more freedom to participate and invest in their own education.
Do you find many parents come to you and say, look, my child is in the 7th grade and he doesn't like school and he can't wait till he gets old enough to quit. What am I going to do?
Exactly. What are you going to do? What would you do if he quit right now? What would you do if he quit next year? He's not prepared to go off into life right now. So I would really recommend that they start doing some serious life skills. Start taking some classes on personal finances. Start teaching them some local ways to get involved in the community. Start seeing what sparks their interest, because you really want to help guide your children into a career. And the way you can do that is by opening up doors and letting them see what's involved in the community. How can they be part of life? Because you don't want a 7th grader to quit school and then just sit there and play Xbox all day.
Okay, Tamara, let's wrap it up. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All right, we're down to the bottom line. Why is RISE necessary? What's its future? And how successful is it going to be?
Okay, well, how successful it will be based on how much community support we get. Right now, we're successful as a very small kind of mom and pop shop, if you will. Our vision for RISE Education Resource Center is a very large educational facility. I joke around with my family back east. When I say Andre Agassi, everybody here in Las Vegas thinks charter school. Back east, when they say Andre Agassi, they think tennis. I want RISE Education Resource Center to be synonymous with education. We want to have a facility with 20 classrooms. We want a gymnasium. We want a demonstration kitchen, a theater, outdoor play space, outdoor gardening space. a dark room, computer labs, science labs. We want to be a very large one-stop shop facility. We want to have a curriculum library where parents can come in and leaf through actual books and say, this looks like a great math book. I can do that. Or this math book doesn't look like it'll fit my child's needs. So we really want to be that one-stop shop for everybody in Las Vegas to come to and say, what do I do for my child?
Why do you need that kind of facility, that larger facility?
Well, right now we're leasing space at a very small facility, and we're tapping out. We can't hold the programs we want to have. We don't have a theater, so we can't do things like graduations or large plays. We have to rent other facilities to do things like that. So we really envision impacting the entire community. The charter school community, a lot of them are going to be distance ed. Now, some of them are distance ed, but we're going to see more of that in the future. They need a place to have their academic classes and their social activities. We need a facility to do after-school programs. We really want to impact every child in Las Vegas.
So give me an idea of the cost of the facilities you're talking about. Is it $1 million, $10 million, what?
You know, we haven't gotten that far. I don't know. I know we ran this last year. Our budget this last year was under $20,000, and we ran a successful program impacting more than 500 families, probably more than that if you got down to people that just dropped in one time and didn't come back again. Just letting families know about what their choices are, what their options are, and then they come back during the day and they take supplemental classes.
I would think that the state legislature would lick its chops when they see you who are going to do so much with so little as compared to what they believe is done or not done in the school system. I'm
hoping, and that's, you know, part of my vision is getting out in the community, talking with people like you, letting people know if they want to help, if they want to make a difference. I'm willing to do it all day long.
So if I wanted to send my child through your program, should I feel guilty if I don't give you X dollars or Y dollars?
No, we have a membership fee. The membership fee right now is $20 a month. That helps us go, and it helps us have some money as a budget. But no, you don't have to donate your money to us. You can spend time. You can. We have community members that are volunteers. If you anything that you know, you could come in and teach a class. You could do a one-time class, you could do a series of classes. We have a local magician that comes in and teaches classes right now, and the kids are eating that up. We've got a local gentleman that teaches Lego classes, and he does them so that the kids are learning about scale based on Legos. So it doesn't need to be just money, although we need money for a facility, but it can be your support.
You know, when I talk to people about the general public education system, they get so depressed. And yet I talk with people like you who are so limited in your access to money, and you seem so enthusiastic about it.
This has been my life. This is 19 years of my life, and there are other people like me out there that want to make a change, and we're just financially strapped. I have this facility. I love parents to come in, but we need to get the word out that we're there and we can help people.
Okay, well, anything we can do, we will. And please say hello to my good friend Chuck Muth.
I will do that.
And congratulate him on his success in this area.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks.